はい。皆さん、こんにちは。ジョーです。今日はですね、ソラナ上で今非常に注目をされております、ZEUS というですね、日本語だと ZEUS ですけれども、CEO であり、コファウンダーのジャスティさんに来ていただいています。で、簡単に言うとですね、ソラナ上でビットコインのレイヤー2が、できるというような、プロジェクトになっているんですけれども、今後、もっともっと大きな可能性を秘めているということもあり、その可能性を皆さんに知っていただきたいかなと思っております。Okay, Justin, thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy, but today we like to go over what the ZEUS is and also Apollo and what the potential, and also you have a token and the role of the token, etc. Is it okay that we start off from your introduction?
Sure. Yeah. Hi guys. I'm the founder of ZEUS Networks, and then yeah, we've been building on Solana more than 3 years actually, almost 4 years to be exact this year. And we value everything in terms of high performance blockchain like Solana, and we knew that Solana could be literally the only chain that sustain or billions of dollar trading value on a daily basis. And right now it's proven that we were right, and then we are also right at the point where what if we deploy Solana to any other blockchain as a layer two? The layer two narrative doesn't have to be switching RPC, fragmentation of liquidity. The layer two as a narrative, as a notions can be, hey, can we enable these assets are considered dormant assets like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin into Solana? Therefore, ZEUS to me is like a multi-chain layer on Solana, layer one horizons, where we're not creating layer two, we're not creating layer three SVNs. We're helping Solana to scale outside of SPO assets. We're even scaling Solana dApps outside of SPO assets as well. So I look forward to on this year's where we are start to enabling Bitcoins or any other UTXO assets coming to Solana and utilizing within Solana DeFi ecosystem.
I see. Thank you. So basically, we can use the Bitcoin on Solana and potentially other network in the future, right? So this is kind of like DeFi project, but also at the same time scalability uh, infrastructure. Is that correct?
Yes. Like I said, I think ZEUS is like a multi-chain layers on Solana. As like you can treat it like a multi-chain infrastructures, and then eventually Solana has to scale outside of Solana in a way that with the speed, with the performance, or even the best social layers currently in the space, and a lot of assets want to come to Solana. Right now, there are two solutions, right? Bridge or bridgeless. I would love to indicate what is bridge, right? Like bridge, pretty much they take your tokens on the left, give you another token on the right. There is no assurance that if your bridge assets are actually going to be safe bridging over. But instead, what ZEUS does differently as a multi-chain layers, we ensure everything is lock and mint. If there is one asset floating around Solana ecosystem through ZEUS, there has to be one asset lock it on the other address. So, traditionally speaking, it's impossible to bridge Bitcoin, right? You have to wrap first and then bridge overs. So what we enable is a native lock and mint. So you deposit real BTC into the BTC address, and instead we give you another version of Bitcoin that's actually pegged one-to-one on-chain reserves through ZEUS and then minted on Solana. So right now there's a couple of versions of Bitcoin flowing on Solana already. You have wBTC, cbBTC, and now you have zBTC as well. So things are going to be looking very interesting moving forwards.
Thank you. And then there's a sister brother project, Apollo. Kind of wanted to go over that.
Yeah, like I said, ZEUS is a multi-chain layer, right? On Solana, and meaning that it's built with composability. You can build on top of ZEUS as a info layers. So this is something we envision by the end of this year. We should have multiple dApps building around ZEUS as a multi-chain infra and the fostering ZPO assets into the Solana ecosystems. And Apollo, as the first step ever being built on top of ZEUS, incubated by us, is the first Bitcoin on-chain exchange. What does Bitcoin on-chain exchange means? It means that it allows you freely to withdraw and deposit your native Bitcoins anytime, anywhere, no KYC, KYB. I think that's the beauty of it, right? The Apollo is also going to be listing wBTC and cbBTC as well. And imagine you buy cbBTC on Base or anywhere else. Now you can finally withdraw into real Bitcoins through Apollos. I think it's very powerful, right? If we talk about on-chain and permissionless solution in the futures. And this, if you think about it, ZEUS as an infra layer can really spark a lot of interest, right? Like, for example, Solana wallets, Phantom, Solar, like all these guys can integrate into ZPL SDK, and then they can enable Bitcoin deposit. without switching into Bitcoin RPC. So like in terms of native custodians for Solana dApps, this is something that it's gonna spark the next level of TVLs actually. I mean, think about like a couple thousand Bitcoin into Solana dApps versus 10,000 of Solana so into it. Like you have far greater TVL in comparison to that. So I'm very excited. You know, we're already in discussion with a couple of Solana dApps already. Who knows? There could be XYZ version of Bitcoin flying around Solana by the end of this year.
Sounds great. And last year, I think there was still a little bit of skepticism that the people, I don't know, want to or don't want to use the Bitcoin to do the DeFi and so on, and they, just want to keep it as a Bitcoin. But now it seems like the trend is shifting. Now a lot of people, including the VCs, are interested in Bitcoin layer 2 or relevant or equivalent solutions like yours. How's the demand or interest from like many parties?
Yeah, I think when you talk about adoptions, you're not talking about OGs. You know, every generation, every shift, every cycle, you always attract more users, more generation of holders. It's not a question about if the OG like it or not. It's all about what do future holders want, right? And then statistically speaking, we actually have conduct a decent amount of research that people are not against to earn yield with the Bitcoins. It's just how it is being earned, right? Do you want to deposit through exchanges to earn yield with your Bitcoin? You simply deposit your Bitcoin to the address. They just take whatever your Bitcoin you have, put it into quant trading strategies or so on and so forth. But there is a different types of audience right now that we're seeing, especially on Solana, right? You know, Trump coin just launched a week ago. We attract more than 600 million address to Solana new addresses. Are these people wanting to be utilizing yield on chain, or do they want to deposit to Coinbases? So, you know, I think again, like, you know, ZEUS is not here to overtake cbBTC and wBTC. Instead, we're providing another options, right? Permissionless programmable Bitcoins. And if people prefer permissionless programmable Bitcoin that you can convert it back to real Bitcoin anytime, anywhere, no KYC, KYB, then I think we are the only solution right now. So, you know, again, you know, we're very confident that we're providing one of kind options instead of overtaking entire market shares. If cbBTC, wBTC does better in the future, it's even better for us, right? There's a significant amount of demands. There is more mind shares on chains as well. This is something that ZEUS and Apollo or future dApps can utilize as well.
I see. And now you have a ZEUS token. What are the utilities or the role of the token?
Yeah, so ZEUS is very simple, right? You can treat ZEUS as a layer token. So what does layer token means? Layer token ensures validations and the security for the networks. So we have this ratios where we ensure of a dynamic ratio that we ensure has to be X amount of ZEUS in order to enable a wide amount of BTCs. It's not we want to peg against BTC. We want to ensure that there's no ZEUS to validating Bitcoin transaction to come into Solana. And so, and like I said, Bitcoin is just a start, right? We are currently working with Litecoins and Dogecoin integration as well. So imagine ZEUS as a multi-chain layer could become an ETF layer as well. When all these chains, when all these assets go in ETF, and someday, perhaps this year.
And a lot of people try to stake the ZEUS token for the first and second epoch, but that was very, very quick. Most of the people, I think, couldn't. Where does the demand come from, and why people are so interested in staking the token?
Well, there are a few types, right? First, like I said, you know, every ZEUS token is packed in with ratios, so it has to be X amount of ZEUS in order for us to enable more Bitcoin coming over to Solana, permissionless on chains. And second, but most importantly, people are very excited about this multi-chain layers on Solana. Actually, you think about it, like, you know, historically speaking, every cycle we always talk about multi-chain interoperabilities, but none of us, no, none of them has done it from the past. Obviously, due to several reasons, EVMs, Ethereum's, and has failed to achieve its own missions. But I think Solana is going to do differently this time, or through ZEUS. You know, is It's probably the most high performance blockchain out here right now with the best social layers. And just imagine that we enable all these dormant liquidities like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoins that would enable DogeFi, Litecoin Fi's, or Caspots, or even future assets coming to Solana, lock and mint permissionless. I think people are just getting started in a way that rather than using Bridge, I could use lock and mint to Solana.
I see. And your product is now mainly on Solana, but is it possible for other ecosystem to use your platform, or how does it work?
Yeah, so like I said, ZEUS is info layers, multi-chain info layers. We are embedded with Solana right now, but I think it's just a chapter, right? We realized that there's a significant amount of demands for institutions or even businesses like blockchain companies that they will also want to validate Bitcoin transactions into their using their own blockchains. So if you can build Bitcoin dApps on Solana, why can't you build Bitcoin dApps on Sui or any other blockchains? I think this is something that we're being closely monetized as well. But is ZEUS Solana project where ZEUS is going beyond Solana? So we're very confident that with our designs and then technologies, I think we're here to stay in the way that we're here to stay with Bitcoin, all these assets as well. So we are definitely looking to expand the expansion of beyond Solana. And then now we're just choosing whether it's a good blockchain for us to be devoted, like Sui or Base. But I think we are definitely looking to Sui right now. Yeah.
I see. And then is your technology compatible to the current existing wrap BTC, or like, for example, cbBTC or some other BTC tokens, or?
Yeah, like wBTC is held by BitGo, right? So it's a centralized custody companies. You can't really tell if there's actually one Bitcoin pack under the scene. So that's why that's why a lot of people are having very skeptical about like if they are buying actual Bitcoin versus just wrap air Bitcoins, right? And cbBTC, obviously, you deposit Bitcoin to the exchange and mint it through Coinbase as well. In order to do that, you need KYC, KYB. So, is Coinbase actually doing nothing with your Bitcoin? Nobody knows, right? They could have an address, take your Bitcoin, and then do some arbitrage or hedging positions and for the entire reserves. So, I think what is trying to do differently is that, hey, your coins is your key, right? So you deposit into the Bitcoin address, and then you can go to ZEUS scans. It's like a ZEUS Explorer, and then check the status. And then you will realize that your Bitcoin is not being moved or held by anyone else but ZEUS guardians. So even ZEUS as a foundation, we hold absolutely nothing with your Bitcoins, and it's all 7 guardians held by your Bitcoins. And then you might wonder, is 7 guardians holding everything? For now, yes, but we are looking to expand to 14 to 20 guardians in the future as well, with more blockchains are being integrated. So yeah, very excited with that planning as well.
I see. Those dApps that want to have a Bitcoin on their platform or on their ecosystem, what are the main reasons? Is it like to issue stable coins or more TVLs or collateral, or what do you think? What are the demand from those dApps or ecosystem, you think?
Yeah, so just looking at the whole spectrums where why Bitcoin matters, right? Like earning yield with your Bitcoin is like earning yield with your digital gold, right? So that's one thing but for enterprises, protocols, or businesses is that like I said, like a TVL goes up, revenue should go up as well. It means you're holding more assets under your custody, right? Second, but the most important thing, people are underratedly realizing that Bitcoin as a liquidities on chain is far greater than any native tokens, right? It is the most mega liquidities and one of the highest market cap liquidities out there. When Bitcoin drops 5%, everything drops 20 to 30%. So if you are pairing with Bitcoins as a liquidity, which I think the future could be very interesting, where a lot of assets could pair with zBTC, with wBTC, with cbBTC on chain on AMN liquidity pools. And that is when we realize that, hey, like the volatility for altcoins on chain is unbearable. But if you pair with Bitcoins, things could be looking far more stabilizing in many ways, actually. And then think about it, right? There are just always new blockchains coming out every years. There are tons of blockchain coming out every years. But what's the one thing that one priority that every blockchains have to think of is the liquidities on chain, right? When they start their DeFi ecosystems or AMNs or DEX swaps. But you can't have like tons of your native tokens of liquidities versus a Bitcoin. Imagine just a couple thousand Bitcoin into the liquidity layers. How much in-depth liquidities could impact positively impact your endmans or liquidity horizons on your blockchain. So I think people are realizing that. Last cycle we didn't have much Bitcoin on chain, especially on Ethereum. Right now, there's tons of wBTC, approximately about 8 billion worth of wBTC sitting there doing nothing. And in Solana, we're currently operating the highest yield right now with 36% in USD values. You just provide your wBTC or cbBTC on chain on work cost or Meteor, all these stuff. So numbers don't lie. Where does yield come from? From tradings. And something that I also have to say that I think pretty much everyone's using Jupiter to swap. And then Jupiter as a DEX aggregators, they utilize entire liquidity throughout Radiance, Orca, Meteor. So, if the router knows that Bitcoin liquidity is far more stabilizing, it's going to route through one way or the other. So I think hence the reason why we're seeing a drastic yield generation through Solana on chains.
Wow. Well, so that means the price of the Bitcoin goes higher, the yields that the ZEUS stakers can generate. That's right?
Yes. So if you don't stake through ZEUS, but you mint it through ZEUS, right? On Apollos. So obviously, if Bitcoin does better from here, the yield is going to look even better on chain for Solana. I mean, where does the yield come from? From users, right? And you can have a chain that has 0 users, inflate a bunch of yield from their own native tokens. But versus Solana, Solana as a foundation never really incentivized anything. Everything comes pretty organically, honestly speaking. So I mean, we are the best trading chains right now. Everyone's buying main tokens or trading DeFi or on-chain activity. So I think without user, there wouldn't be yield. So yeah.
Sounds great. What are the dynamics from the recent Trump being elected or now become the president, or also people talk about the Bitcoin reserve and so on? Did anything change dynamics for the ZEUS?
Yeah, like I mean, obviously the price definitely changed the dynamics or even the aspects, right? I mean, we're seeing more and more companies are buying Bitcoin as a reserve. And then I start wondering why are there so many protocols from the last few months been contacting us that they also want to buy Bitcoin with their reserves. Well, there are several reasons, right? If you want to buy Bitcoin through a DAO, and then let's say majority of people voting yes on your DAO mechanism, and your DAO has a couple $1 million, would you buy wBTC or cbBTC or zBTC? One way or the other, people are going to buy BTC. But at this point, if your BTC wants to cash into real BTC, it's through Apollo or ZEUS. On ZEUS, actually, we are the only solution right now. And I can tell you right now, Joe, like there are tons of DAOs on Solana are interested in buying BTC as a reserve, and especially on zBTC as well.
I see. And still, you have a kind of limit to stake ZEUS tokens, but still that means that there's still a limitation to trade zBTC. When it's going to be, like even more flexible trading limits or staking limits in the future? Is it coming soon or?
Yes. Oh, so Epoch 3, first I'm saying that I think Epoch 3-ish, we're going to enable retail to buy zBTC on immense. We want to ensure that during Epoch 1 and 2, first, it's been minted successfully. So Epoch 2 is being withdrawn and deposit constantly to a point where we enable a couple $20 to $30 million of trading volumes. That also want to ensure our security as well. And then that's where Epoch 3 will enable retail to buy and to mint their BTC assets, and they can start buying zBTC into the liquidity pool as well. So I think with this, we're very confident with Epoch 3. I believe is somewhere March-ish or end of February that we should start allowing retail to really mint it or buy zBTC off the market on chains.
And then you already started talking to DeFi protocol to for people able to like lend, borrow, or do something on like a DeFi on chain, or is it coming later? Yeah.
Yes. There is a line of partnership integration are going to be happening with zBTC, and then like I said, zBTC is just a start. There's a couple version of Bitcoin that could be launching through on ZEUS or through Apollos, or they could be building their own dApps as well. So, I think zBTC is a notion, right? We want to demonstrate that hey, like, this is the only permissions programmable Bitcoins you can you can pack and unpack back and forth whenever, anytime you want, no KYC, KYB.
Wow, sounds interesting. I think people now still think that ZEUS is Solana project, but now, like you said, many times, ZEUS is like multi-chain and enable Bitcoin to be able to be transferred, traded, like whatever on chain. But another question is, what about the institutions? Are they interested in working with you, or mostly on-chain project, or what are the interests from those companies?
Yeah, so I think tons of institutions they were really interested in earning yield with the Bitcoins. Obviously, like from the past, everything's done through hedge funds or quant trading companies, but they start realizing that there's tons of opportunities on chain as well. And then when you think about on chain opportunities, you start wondering, how can I bring my Bitcoin onto the chains, right? So right now you have wBTC, KYB, or you don't even know when the company actually has the Bitcoin in their reserves. You have cbBTC, there's tons of institution, they don't want to do KYC or KYB. And now you have a permission solution like ZEUS and zBTC with Apollos. We've been chatting with a couple heavy lineups with the to provide liquidity provisions for Apollos as well. So we would definitely want to compete with zBTC, wBTC on Solana. And right now, wBTC is almost minted with 4,000, and then cbBTC almost 1,000 as well. And last time I checked, zBTC was around 32, 33. So we're very early at this stage. But any events, any news could cause a paradigm shift, right? Tons of people could shift from cbBTC, wBTC to zBTC as well. So we're ready. It's an infra play, as a layers, as a first step Apollos. We're ready to take that traffic in the future as well.
What about the miners and also potentially MicroStrategies?
Hey, we are definitely chatting with some companies like MicroStrategies. I mean, if tons of companies, institutions are staking with their ETH, why can't you stake with Bitcoin on chain, right? I think these are the things that I've been constantly promoting to tons of institutions that been buying Bitcoin recently or before, is that things are changing drastically. What Ethereum has failed doesn't apply to Solana, and Solana right now is providing 30+% of yield. So I really don't see why can this institution even wanted to start exploring the possibility of earning yield with the Bitcoin or staking on chains. So like I said, more dApps are perhaps building around Bitcoins on Solana as well. So with all these incentives on yield, it's hard to resist as an institution if I were them.
Sounds great. Okay, thank you so much, Justin. I think this conversation was far more bullish than I thought. So I'm very excited to deliver this video to my audience, and looking forward to seeing you again. But can you give us some sort of like a message to the audience, whatever you want to say?
Yeah, so we've been building on Solana for almost 4 years. It wasn't a sweet journey. Obviously, we had a lot of ups and downs, but we kept it going. We knew that our team is capable of, and we deliver. So we were the first projects on Jupiter LFG launchpads. We delivered. Fast forward 9 months from the first day of TGEs, and then we delivered. The product's coming out. So ZEUS scans, and we are delivering more zBTCs. But I can tell you right now, we have tons of stuff we also want to deliver. We are just getting started, getting warm up. There are tons of assets, tons of ideas, integrations are going to be happening this year as well. So, we'd love to see you guys supporting ZEUS. I know tons of Japanese audience communities been supporting ZEUS since day one. So I appreciate that. But I think we're going to achieve greater in 2025 together. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. We're looking for the further developments, expand it into other ecosystem. Thank you, Justin.
Thanks, Joel.